Hi everybody, my name's Kay. You're watching Amidst the Gray, and today I will be showcasing my standout decks of 2022 as a VR to Juli from Peekaboo Rose. Let's do it. It is currently Friday afternoon. I don't know when this is going up, but at this moment, as I sit here in this chair, it's Friday. And it's a beautiful thing. And because I'm such a party animal, I thought this would be a great evening to kind of compile my list. Actually, I kind of already have my list compiled, so I guess I'm just getting them out and showing the decks and showing them off. I don't have an overly large list. And just to clarify, these are all decks that I used in 2022 that had a lasting impact. Not all of them. In fact, I think only one of them was actually published this year. I didn't bring a lot of decks into my life this year. And I think that's going to be an ongoing trend. The ones I am including have been absolute major players for me this year and have been profound in one way or another. And there are a couple that I have worked with in a particular way for the entire year, the entirety of 2022. I'll go more into that when I get there. But yeah, so these are my standout decks of 2022. I'm going to just kind of do a filming and then I think do a voiceover. I don't know, for some reason when I do voiceovers, when I talk about decks, for some reason what I want to come out of me actually comes out of me in a way that kind of actually reflects how I feel. So I think voiceover it is. All right, here we go. I am first and foremost going to apologize for the incredibly wonky lighting. My kitchen table lighting was not consistent this morning. But first two decks up, the Wayhome Tarot and the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Guide, have been hands down the biggest players of my year as far as cards are concerned. I have worked with these two decks all year in conjunction with the seasonal, the 8-season year-based reading I did on the winter solstice last year. My intention for this reading was that the tarot would inform the energy for that particular season of the wheel, and the animal deck would provide a lens with which to perceive and view that energy. I thought it might be kind of fun to quickly sort of recreate my yearly reading for you, just so you can kind of see how it worked, and I'll walk you through my process for how I did it. I start with the tarot because the tarot provides that energetic backdrop. And this reading was done in conjunction with my card of the year, which for this year was the Strength card. I chose this deck partly because Strength is at position 11, which is my preferred position for Strength, and I prefer Justice at 8. This card in particular appealed to me because of the empowering energy of the Kundalini rising, and also with the lemniscate visible in the center there. It felt very much in line with what I had intended to focus on for this year. I have this thing with tarot. I always feel a nudge to look at the bottom of the deck. Not with Oracle, just with tarot. And I knew I wanted the bottom to fulfill some kind of role for this spread too. So I decided that when I flip the deck over, whatever card on the bottom would be sort of my advice for going into the reading. Just something to keep in mind. And in this case, it was the Ace of Swords, which encouraged me to be open to new ways of thinking and ideas as I go into the reading. My process at this point was to go through the deck one card at a time until I found my card of the year, which in this case is the Strength card. So I just kept going through. There it is. This isn't an exact recreation of what I had, but it's really close. It was actually quite close to the bottom of the deck. My process now is to lay the strength card, my card of the year, in the middle of the reading. My whole reading will be based on this card, my card of the year. It goes in the middle. It's the foundational piece of this seasonal year ahead reading. And then from here on out, I will lay down the subsequent cards until I get finished with the 8th card. So there I have Temperance, the Ace of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, the Son of Wands, or the Knight of Wands, which is a little bit out of frame, as is the Hierophant there, one of my favorite Hierophant cards of all time. Then the 9 of Pentacles, then the 5 of Wands, and then the 8 of Wands. These reflect the seasonal positions of the Wheel of the Year spread, the 8 season spread, beginning at the top with the winter solstice, then the winter cross quarter, then the spring equinox, then the spring cross quarter, then the summer solstice, and then the summer cross quarter, the autumnal equinox, and my current card for the autumn cross quarter. This is the energetic backdrop, the energetic foundation of the year ahead reading that I did with the Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords rather, providing kind of the advice for going into the reading. Next, what I did is use the Wild Unknown Animal deck to provide a lens, a perspective for seeing each season and experiencing each season. So there I have the bat with Temperance, the crocodile with the Ace of Cups, the turtle with the 10 of Pentacles, the zebra with the Son of Wands, the hyena with the Hierophant, which is also slightly out of frame, the dolphin with the 9 of Pentacles, the elk with the 5 of Wands, and my current card, which is the spider. And I realize at this point that it is still on my display in my bedroom, and it didn't actually make it back into the deck. And so I'm going to retrieve that right now so I can pair it with my current card of the 8 of Wands. This pairing in particular for the late autumn season, the 8 of Wands as the energetic backdrop with the spider as the lens, I have found to be extremely appropriate for the context of my life at this time and what I'm doing. Overall, a great reading with the Wayhome Tarot and the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and I've worked with these two all year. My next standout deck of 2022 was honestly a bit of a shocker, considering I don't particularly care for RWS as a whole anymore. That being said, I carried this deck with me in my bag for the majority of the year. This is the Borderless Smith-Waite Centennial. This was my very first tarot. This was the tarot I learned tarot as a system. This is also in my formative decks video. The RWS just isn't my favorite. Honestly, it's just not. Since I've evolved with tarot, my approach has greatly changed, and it has evolved from reading just straight RWS. But this deck brought a lot of comfort to me this year, and I don't exactly know why. Maybe it was just because it took me back to the beginning of my practice, and I felt like I needed to explore some things there. But honestly, and I would keep it in my bag, but not really even read with it. Just knowing it was there was kind of enough for me. And I would take it out and just kind of hold it and look through the cards. And sometimes just when I flipped it over and saw what was there, and I would look to the next card and the one after, a little story would evolve, or something I didn't know I needed would present itself. I am one for giving credit where credit is due, and credit is due to this deck. The Centennial RWS was a standout for me this year. I don't really know how to describe this next standout deck other than it is just a little box of loveliness. This is the Wisdom of Hafiz Oracle. This is the deck I mentioned that was published in 2022. It is relatively new to me. This is a US Games deck. There is something about this deck that I just find so charming and endearing. And it comes in this gorgeous little magnetic box, and it's just so well presented and beautiful. And the guidebook is in color, and all of the things are just there. And I have a small collection of decks that offer one or two words or maybe a short and simple sentence of advice. Look at the backs. The backs are so pretty. One or two words or a short phrase of advice. This is one of those decks. The advice is just super simple. That retreat card on top was one that I got last month, and it was very appropriate for my situation. The art is gorgeous. This has a Sufi based kind of backdrop. Hafiz was a Sufi mystic, so there are elements of Sufi wisdom presented here. This art is it the art? I don't know if it's the artist or the creator, but there's another deck by one of these people coming out because I've seen it on Amazon and I can't remember what it's called, but it's another one of these just super sweet and simple little advice decks. But this one for me brought me a lot of comfort. I have no words, literally. A lot of comfort this year. It is gold gilded on the sides. It's just a beautiful little advice deck. I got a lot out of it since I've had it, and I just really like it and intend to use it a lot in the future. That is the wisdom of Hafiz. I have a lot to say about this next standout deck, so I will do my best to contain myself in a reasonable manner. This is the Tao Oracle by Ma Deva Padma, the same artist, I believe, as the Osho Zen. This deck is published by St. Martin's Press. It has been out for a while. It's by no means a new deck. This deck this year I have used in a very specific way in conjunction with my study of human design. It is a deck of hexagrams, and in the Rave Mandala of Human Design, the hexagrams of the I Ching essentially drive this system. So what I would do each moon phase, each dark moon, is pull a card which would represent one of the hexagrams of the I Ching. These cards are so gorgeous. The trigrams, both trigrams that make up the hexagram are there, as well as the elements associated. So each dark moon, I would pull a card. I would look at the hexagram presented, and then I would compare it to my human design body graph to see if that particular hexagram or gate, in the case of human design, is active in my body graph. If it is active, as in the case of the current gate hexagram I'm working with, which is gate 14, I do have that active in my body graph, the prosperity hexagram. I look at that in relation to the fixedness, so to speak, of how that presents in my body graph. And the fixedness, if you have it defined, can be, there's information in the lines about that. So here is an example in the guidebook. Here is the hexagram of prosperity. There is some information. Most of them, I think, have a full 2 pages. But then the way I use it, if I have that hexagram defined in my body graph, as I do with 14, I am going to look at the breakdown of the lines and see where I have it defined. So in my design side, I have it defined in line 2, and on my personality side, I have it defined in line 6. So I am going to be looking at both of those lines and see how they are currently relating to where I am at with life in general, as well as in my study. Gate 14 in the body graph is in the sacral center. That is a dormant gate and an undefined center for me. So these little dormant gates for me have proven to be extremely potent. And so it's just another way for me to look at my body graph, and this oracle has just done an outstanding job. That is the Tao Oracle by Ma Deva Padma, published by St. Martin's Press. My final standout deck of 2022, I am so sorry and completely bummed to say that it is out of print. It went out of print randomly earlier this year. This is The Answer is Simple by Sonia Choquette. It is a Hay House deck. It's an older deck, but I did not even think it would go out of print. And had I known, I would have probably bought 2 extra copies. This is hands down one of my favorite decks in my collection, Tarot or Oracle. Doesn't matter. I love it so much. This is another example of a deck that offers that simple advice. But this one does it in a sassy, cheeky, no nonsense way while being one of the most adorable things ever created. It does not hesitate to just put you in your place when you need to be put in your place. That Get Over Yourself card has made its presence known in my life more times than I care to admit, but totally appropriate for it to show up. It's so cute, and it's punchy, and it's adorable. And the word God does appear a couple of times. I know that can be a thing for some people, and that it's not an emergency card is one of my favorite things ever created. I love it. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill, people. Um, anyway, the word God does show up. So just be aware of that. But I checked eBay and various other places, and copies for this deck are going for over $100. And I love that stop card with the penguins and the shark. I've seen a couple of listings for this deck at being over $100, and I just think that's absolutely appalling considering I got this for $8 on one of their sales. But because it's out of print, it's now a thing, and the prices have gone up. But this deck will always be a standout deck to me. I think if I were to do this tag next year, it would be the same. In summary, my standout decks of 2022 have been the Tao Oracle, the Wisdom of Hafiz Oracle, the Answer is Simple Oracle, the Borderless Centennial Smith-Waite Tarot, the Wayhome Tarot, and the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. Thank you so much to Juli for creating this tag. It was so much fun to watch. It's still fun to watch. There's still videos popping up, and it was very fun to look upon my own collection and determine what worked for me for standout decks this year. Until my next video, take care and be well.